Tanya felt the force holding her to the bench vanish. She jumped up and started to run towards her friend. But as she got close, she again felt a vice tighten around her. Then the air around her body grew warm. Her clothes felt like they were writhing on her skin. She watched as Ruffles appeared everywhere. Her pants changed and merged with her shirt to become what looked like a young child's party dress. The color settled on a light yellow with white ruffles that seemed to be everywhere. She felt anger and fear mix with humiliation as the transformation finished with what felt like satin panties replacing her regular thong. "Come on, little girl. Why don't you get in with your friend? I've got plenty of diapers if you want to wear them with your little buddy." Again the force relaxed. But Tanya didn't move, she stood still, clenching and unclenching her fists. The woman locked the back wheels on the stroller and walked towards her. She got just in front of her and knelt down. "I want you to think of something. Right now you're angry. And you want to leave. Maybe even try to help little Jemima later." She stopped and grabbed one of the purses from Tanya's shoulder. "But let me tell you, it ain't gonna happen. You'll call the cops. They'll search but find nothing. All they'll have is you, dressed in immature clothes, telling them that she was magically turned into a big baby." Tanya relaxed her hands. She was listening. The woman had opened the purse and was pulling something white out of it. "They'll never believe you. And you'll be left as the girl that wouldn't tell the truth. Even to get her friend back. You may even have a little breakdown and end up in the nut house. But why? Why have that happen when it doesn't have to?" She held up what she had removed from the purse. It was a diaper. "Take this. Put it on and you can forget about all that." Tanya felt the diaper pushed into her hands. She knew she should drop it and run. But instead, she stood still and turned the diaper over and over in her hands. "Look at Jemima, she's happy. She won't have to worry about what happened to you. She won't have to worry about anything. A fresh diaper and a bottle and she'll be smiling all day." Tanya looked down at the diaper. For the first time she found her voice. "No." The woman stood up and walked back to the stroller. "No, huh?" She unlocked the wheels and started rolling away. Tanya looked down at the diaper in her hand. Then back up to the stroller, slowly rolling away with her friend. "No. It can't happen." She whispered to herself. "I can't let her win. I have to go get help." But she couldn't leave her friend. She didn't want to leave her alone with that woman. She ran up behind her and grabbed her hanging shirt. Stop please." She did and turned to face her. "Ready for a ride, are you?" Tanya felt the embarrassment return. But the woman wanted her to answer. "Say it. Say, I want to be a baby like Jemima." Tanya looked at the smiling face of Jemima. Drool now coated her chin and dripped to her chest. Her face flushed as she turned back to the woman and said, "I want to be a baby like Jemima." "Good," she gestured towards the diaper in Tanya's hands. "Now be a good baby and put your diaper on." Tanya was confused. "What?" "I want you to prove that you want to be a baby like her. Drop those silly panties and put that diaper on. Right here." Tanya pointed to all the people around her. "What about all them? Don't worry about them. They won't see anything. Now hurry up, before little Jemima gets a rash from her messy diaper." Tanya hesitantly reached under her dress and pulled her panties down. She tried to hand them to the woman, but she made no move to grab them, so Tanya just dropped them to the ground. Then she unfolded the large diaper. As it opened, she could smell the sweet scent of baby powder coming from it. Tanya grabbed the front wings and unfolded them, then did the same for the back. She didn't want to lay down on the ground, so she pulled it up between her legs, then walked over to a tree and leaned her butt against it. She carefully opened the tapes and pulled them closed over the front, then used her finger to make sure the diaper wasn't bunched up between her legs. After she was sure it was on correctly, she dropped the bottom of her dress and walked over towards the stroller. She took a step to get in, but the lady stopped her. Not so fast. What? I put the diaper on. What do you want me to do now? I think you know. Actually, I think your body knows as well. Tanya looked confused. What? Then she felt it. She needed to pee. And it was getting worse. Oh. Not here. Let's go back to your place. No, here. And now? Tanya pushed, but years of potty training had made it hard to pee without being on a toilet. She squatted down and pushed as hard as she could. She felt a warm trickle start. She thought it was slowing, so she bared down harder. The flow picked up, but she had to keep straining to get anything out. She was still squatting when the woman walked closer to her. Looks like baby needs some help. Here you go. Now finish this all up for Nanny. Tanya felt a rubber nipple enter her mouth. She opened her eyes to see a baby bottle lodged in her mouth. She wanted to spit it out. But instead her hands reached up and took hold of it from the nanny. Good girl. Tanya wanted to die. She was squatting in front of complete strangers, in a wet diaper and drinking from a bottle. She closed her eyes and tried to ignore the sounds around her. Sooner than she thought it was over, and she let the empty bottle drop to the ground underneath her. The woman picked it up quickly. Now, did that work? Tanya stood up and shook her head. I don't think so, I don't. She stopped as she felt a weird tingle down below, followed by a feeling of relief she had never felt before. The woman's devilish smile returned. There we go, almost ready now. Tanya reached under the dress and felt the now sagging diaper. Almost. What's left? First, I think you should snap your underlays closed. Just reach behind, you should feel it. Tanya was confused. She reached up behind the diaper and felt something hanging there. She was sure she hadn't seen anything back there when she first put the diaper on. She pulled it forward and saw it was a snappable flap like Jemima's shirt had been. She searched and found the front snaps and quickly snapped them closed. As she straightened back up, she felt the wet diaper pulled up and pushed back into her underneath by the supporting flap. Thinking she was done, she took a step towards the stroller again. The woman didn't stop her, but as she took another step, a pulse of pleasure came from the diaper. Oh! Tanya quietly moaned. She tried to step again. But the same pulse returned. Stronger this time. She doubled over as it grew more intense. Her face was hidden among the white ruffles as she started to moan louder. She tried to keep perfectly still, but the feeling grew from a pulse to a warm wave over her whole body. The woman put her face as close to Tanya's ear as she could and whispered a barely audible, "Feels good, don't it?" Tanya could barely grunt a yes. The woman continued, not only pooping in front of strangers, but getting off on it too. You're not a baby. You're a freak. Tanya felt the word hit her. It seemed to bounce around in her head, only adding to the sensations she was feeling. And I don't think I want a little freak like you around an innocent baby right now. Why don't you finish up here and waddle back home? I suggest you go pick up some supplies pretty quick too. I doubt that last diaper in your purse will last you long. Tanya tried to answer, but she couldn't. Her knees felt weak as the back of her diaper started to bulge out slowly. The memory of watching Jemima do the same earlier briefly flashed by. But it seemed so long ago. Almost part of another life. The woman kept her voice a whisper, but it dripped with venom as she spoke. Maybe if you ask nicely, your mommy will start wiping your little ass again. But I'd be really nice about it if I were you. Tanya was panting and had to put one hand on the ground as she gave one last push that put her over the edge. Her knees buckled and she dropped down to her hands and knees. She couldn't even breathe as the sensation washed over her entire body. The woman stood up and walked back towards the stroller. With a click, the back locks came off the wheels and she started to roll it away towards her trailer. With a final look behind her, she laughed and disappeared into the crowd.